Oh my gosh, congratulations, Alex. It's been over a year and you're finally in the Six Figures Club. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Jet Life Podcast. My name is Tom Lelyo. We're pulling back the curtain on aviation. Whether you're a buyer or aspiring broker, we're helping you buy and sell private jets with no experience necessary. Today, we are pulling back the curtain on one of the OGs, the original Jet Life Aero broker, Alex Strohmeier, is joining us today. Please excuse the recording setup we got going on. We are escaping Hurricane Milton. Hopefully, by the time you're seeing this, there's not too much damage. We're praying for all those in the path. We've actually escaped from Florida to South Carolina, and we'll be hanging out here throughout the storm and the aftermath. This is one of the interesting things about being a cloud-based brokerage is that we are able to work from anywhere. Just yesterday, I was at the Charleston airport closing a deal for Alex, which kind of inspired this video. So we'll get all into that. So if you enjoy this kind of stuff, or whether you're a buyer or aspiring broker, don't forget to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, because we got more content coming your way. So here we go, bringing them on. Alex, welcome. Dude, I'm so excited for you, man. I'm just a little over a year, and here we are, the promised land. This is what I'm telling people. Like, listen, if you do the work, if you follow the process, trust the process, we want to get you, into the six-figure world, and you have done it. Congratulations, man.
Thank you.
So let's do you want to go back to the beginning and kind of talk us through this past year, or do you want to start with the closing of this Mustang that got you over into this achievement?
Sure. I'm happy to talk about kind of the beginning, how we got to where I'm at now.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. So let's see. I started in June of 2023. Honestly, I was the first broker here at Jet Life Aero. How I got here, I actually found Tom on YouTube, and I sent you a cold email. And thankfully you responded, which was great. And we had a few phone calls, and then I decided to come down to Sarasota and do the training. It was supposed to be a 3-day training, but I stayed for 2 weeks because I really wanted to just be boots on the ground and get an understanding of what the day in the life of a jet broker is. So really, that's how I started. That was back June of 2023. Got my first listing in what I want to say, was it September of 2023?
Mm-hmm.
That was a long sales cycle. We ended up selling that in January. I think we talked about that in a previous video. And then I got another Mustang listing, which I sold within the first week of getting the listing back in March. And then this one, 510 November Zulu, also a Mustang, also accepted an offer within the first week. I believe it was 2 days after we had listed it for sale. We accepted an offer on that aircraft. So
found your original.
No way.
Yeah. Stumbled across your YouTube channel, very passionate. Combine aviation with the business background. This is awesome, man.
Wow.
Opportunity to speak with you. Yeah, and we got right into it from there. So that's
that's funny. Hell yeah.
Cool. Well, I mean, it's, what? Here's the thing. A lot of people will reach out to me, and whether it's a DM or a comment or an email like that. And what was great about you is that, like, we started talking, and then you were ready to take action. And not only were you ready to take action, but like you said, you went the extra mile. You stayed for an extra week or two in Sarasota just to kind of be in that environment to get a good start. And I hear a lot of talk, dude. I hear a lot of talk like, oh, like I need this, or I'm a go-getter, I'm a hustler, I'm already a successful this or that. You're our first broker to hit the six figures. And that's not an accident. You go the extra mile. You are constantly coachable. You went to Vegas, for the conferences. You seek out opportunities in the Miami area to connect with people, and you're just really coachable. So let me ask you, what about this journey over the past year was what you expected, and what about this past year was unexpected?
Yeah, that's a good question. Expected, I would say, well, that's tough. I guess,
or
I
maybe
didn't expect the sales.
that you did expect, but it was easier or harder than you expected.
Yeah. Well, one thing I did expect, and you made this clear from the beginning, is this is a different type of sales process. It's much longer. We're commission only, so you need to, of course, be wise with your money, have a budget in mind, and you really have to go after it. One thing that you were dead on about is um, you have to make a ton of calls. That's for sure. At least 50 calls a day, ideally 70 to 100. And really, because the calls you're making right now is money that you're going to get paid 3, 4, 5 months away from now. So the more work you put in now, the better off you'll be in the future. So that I think was kind of what I expected because that's what you really, drilled into me. Unexpected, every single deal is different. It's really unique. Really, what can go wrong will go wrong. So when you think a deal is, getting to the finish line and, something random will happen like Hurricane Milton. Um, so yeah, I would just say, every deal is unique and anything could happen. That's the unexpected part about it. I think you're muted, Tom, by the way.
So the part that was expected, you had to make a lot of calls. Maybe that or something else. What was easier than you expected, and what was harder than you expected?
Easier. Um, Maybe for me, I guess, because I kind of already have a background in or a passion and a knowledge of aviation, just learning the markets
That's
and learning
cool.
about airplanes was easier because I love airplanes. So I'm happy to study and put in the work to learn about markets and learn about specific airframes and about the maintenance. I think that was easier. Harder, I mean, I don't know. It can be, well, actually, I'll say this. So, this is my first sales job or experience. Taking this job was my first sales experience. So, actually making the calls and, finding creative ways to provide value for clients, I think that's the hard part that I've found. So, and kind of pushing past some of those barriers you get. I mean, it's my first sales experience, so the training that we do has been very beneficial to me. But it's always every single day. Every call is different, so I
Mhm.
guess it's the hard part.
So you came in this with no background. Why were you thinking aviation sales? And did you look at anything else? Charter brokering? Did you look into real estate? Did you look
Yeah.
into, yeah, what did you look into?
I definitely looked into real estate. I didn't look into charter sales. I actually had a finance degree in college, so my original plan, I always knew I wanted to combine business with aviation. I just didn't quite know what that would look like. So I had been applying to financial analyst jobs at airlines like JetBlue, Boeing, Lockheed Martin, just aviation companies, financial analyst positions. But then I discovered aircraft sales, and that I was between that and real estate. I actually had a job offer for commercial real estate. But I think it's important when you're in sales that you do something you're passionate about, because if you're not passionate about it, you can't be successful. So that's kind of what, led me to go into private aviation sales.
What did your friends and family say when you were talking about becoming a jet broker a year ago? And what are they saying now?
Oh, they were definitely very supportive, but they wanted me to understand the risk of taking a commission only job, and the chance that you won't make some money for a while. That's definitely a huge risk. That's probably the biggest risk of going into being a private jet broker or any commission only job. So that was something I wouldn't say they were worried about, but they wanted to make sure I understood what that meant, and that meant I needed to work hard. Um, but now I think they're excited and happy for me. And I have, I just recently got my private pilot license as well. So I've really embraced aviation. I want to continue to learn. Hopefully, I get my instrument rating, multi-engine rating, and then on the sales side, continue to be a resource for my clients and build new relationships.
How have you found the aviation industry? I know you're younger, you had, a little bit of experience in the finance world before this, but what can you say about the industry as a whole? The good, the bad, the ugly. What have you found over the past year? Like if you were explaining this to
Mhm.
someone that's like, hey, what is the industry like? What are the people like? What would you tell them?
Yeah. Well, the aviation industry, I think this is a good and a bad thing. What's great is it's a small industry, so everyone knows each other, but also can be a bad thing because it's very reputation based. So, it's important that you're putting your best you're putting your best self out there, being a resource for others. I think it's important that as brokers and just in general, everyone in the aviation industry should be one, family, and everyone should be helping each other out, whether that's sharing market research, sharing ideas. I think that has been the best thing about aviation, and it again could be a bad thing. What else do I love about it? I would say almost everyone I've met is also passionate about aviation. So while we are doing sales, we all love airplanes. So we don't need to talk about our jobs all day. We can just talk about airplanes all day. And yeah, that's one thing I love about aviation.
Uh, how have you found the fact that we are a remote-based brokerage, a cloud-based brokerage? So you don't come into the office. We don't have, it's not like Wolf of Wall Street where we're throwing people against a dartboard or
Yeah.
having, having crazy, plane rides and going to Vegas for weddings or anything like that. Um, what has that been like for you? What are the pros and cons of the cloud-based aspect of the brokerage?
Yeah. I think the pros are we have people all over. So I'm in Miami, you're in Sarasota. And again, you happen to be in Charleston, and our aircraft was closing there, this most recent one, 5 to November Zulu. So you were able to show up for closing. I wasn't going to go to closing because of the incoming hurricane, and the logistics to get back to Miami. A bunch of airports were closing, so it wasn't looking too good. So that's definitely a benefit. Again, having brokers all over the place. We have, brokers in Pennsylvania, Colorado, Texas, California. So that really kind of, we can all help each other out with our deals, and go show aircraft for each other if needed. I would say also, I guess, a con of it could be, it's really, you really need to set goals and motivate yourself, because when you are working from home, or working in a WeWork or something, by yourself, only you can motivate us from afar, but at the end of the day, it's on us to make the calls and to work. So if don't have goals set and you're not constantly trying to pursue them, or better yourself, then this could be a tough industry for you, and a tough job for you.
How's the training? Like you had, so it was a little bit different for you. You came in for 2 days. We went through the workbook. The workbook would eventually become the online course, but you still have access to Circle. You still see the courses that I put up there. Can you speak to this training that you've received, um, both what's on Circle and the recent sales training that we've been doing? How would you describe that to someone who's thinking about, well, how do I get support? Or maybe they've been in other industries, other jobs where training wasn't a big thing. Like, especially with this, it's a new like jet program. Like, who knows how to go? Like, there's like no place to
Mhm.
learn to do it. So, like, can you speak into the training environment that you found here and
Yeah.
how it's actually helped you, close deals and get into the six-figure club?
Yeah, no, it's definitely been a great resource for me. I wouldn't be where I am today without it. Again, it goes all the way back to coming down to Sarasota in person, and staying there for 2 weeks. I learned a lot in those 2 weeks. And after leaving there, I knew for sure that this was something I wanted to do. And then consistently having multiple trainings per week kind of keeps us sharp, gets us thinking about new ways to be creative on the phone, and how we can provide value to our clients. So I definitely think the training has been in a huge resource, especially too when I think back and I was looking prior to a Jet Life Aero. I knew I kind of wanted to be a private jet broker. I just didn't know too much about it. I didn't really know where to get started either. I think there were a few things I found online, a few courses, but they didn't seem that credible, or I don't know. It just they weren't very transparent up front. So I think, the great thing about the Circle community is, we have that course on there. And it's not like a course you take and you're going to be an expert and you can sell any airplane in the world. not the purpose of it. It's really an introduction, to what being a private jet broker is like, and how you can, and you take that basic knowledge and you go from there and you continue to learn. So I think it's a great overview of everything that's involved in the transaction, and just what it's like to be a private jet broker.
So speaking of the training, what are a few skills or a few specific tasks, if you will, that you're like, oh my gosh, like I had no idea, like I needed this skill or I needed this task, and I'm so glad that I was trained on how to do it. Maybe
Yeah,
it's in objections, maybe it's closing, maybe it's just escrow contracts.
yeah. Outside of course, again, I was new to sales, so everything about
Sure.
the sales process was important to me. Of course, practicing, we continuously practice handling objections in our training calls, so that's great, and I am always benefiting from that. I would say, I mean, just this, I would say the finite details of the transaction, such as the aircraft purchase agreements, how we do our market research. That's very important. Being able to conduct market research. It's very important that you're an absolute expert on the model of the aircraft you're selling or acquiring for a client. So that learning how to do market research, creating spec sheets.
How is Jet Broker Alex today different from Jet Broker Alex a year ago?
I would say number one, experience. I don't know it all. I'm always continuing to learn, but I have a good idea of what a transaction would look like and what's required for a successful transaction. I kind of have a routine now.
Hmm.
You know, how I operate on a day to day basis and how I do my market research. Um, I design my spec sheets a specific way, present information. I would say, I would just say mainly it's experience.
Yeah.
And then of course, like, hitting objections, there's always something new you could hear, but for the most part, it's a couple of same objections and kind of knowing how to get through them or just discuss them. And more importantly, the longer in the industry, the more people you meet, and that helps with your transactions as well. So you may, learn of a new maintenance shop that could help with a specific issue, or someone wants to, get an interior refurb or repaint their aircraft. Have a person you can refer to them. And then knowing more people in the industry, that definitely helps with off-market deals as well, because a lot of times clients will be looking for an aircraft and they don't like any of the options that are on the market. So it's important to have a few off-market, or have established relationships with other brokers. Maybe you guys can put a deal together as well.
So you've made it to the six-figure club, the double comma club. We'll have to figure out some like really cool designation for it. What would be a piece of advice that you would give to someone who's just starting that journey?
Yeah.
And can you speak to how long it took you? Um, like, why did it take that long?
Yeah.
Like, what expectations should be? I don't know. I'm not saying it was a bad thing. First of all, let me just be clear. Like, you're doing great, and I don't want to disparage. Like, because you did your first year. I mean, you did a good salary, not quite 100 grand in the first year, but I mean, you were more than halfway there. So your first year, like you did well enough for like a normal full-time job. So can you maybe speak to somebody who's just getting started? What was your first year like, and like what advice you would give to them?
Yeah, I think it goes hand in hand what I was going to say, but it's really important to stay motivated and push yourself, to make calls, to become informed about the market, and to be a resource. I think every single day you should be trying to do something that try to learn something, whether it's about maintenance or anything in the industry. Really, staying informed, keeping up with current world events, keeping up with the news and aviation as well. I think that's really important. Really, we can give you all the tools you need to be successful, but at the end of the day, it's on you. You've got to put in that work yourself. You can't put in 20% of the work and expect 80% of the result. So you definitely have to, set goals, keep pursuing them, stay motivated, and just keep pushing on. I think that's definitely the best advice I'd give.
So what did you struggle with your first year?
Again, and that's what I was going to say. It goes hand in hand. I'm very proud of where I'm at right now, but I know I can do so much more and I can do better. And that, falls on me, either making more calls. I think it's just really making more calls and, I think I do okay with my market research and learning new things. Just learn how to
Yeah,
be a
you do
pilot.
really well with the market.
Um,
Like you're probably one of our most um, dialed in brokers as far as your market. You know your market. Like I can ask, like, oh, what about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Hotel Charlie? Like, oh yeah, that one in Boise, Idaho, that has the red stripe on it that hit its year last week. I mean, you know your market really, really well. Why do you think it's hard to pick up the phone? And by the way, this is something that I struggle with too.
mhm.
You look at my call numbers, and it's easy for me to be like, well, I'm training people, but like the reality is, I need to be on the phones too. So why do you
Yeah,
think you need to pick up the phone?
honestly, I think it's kind of a muscle, and that's why I think
Uh huh.
it's like a muscle in your brain. It's you just got to keep. It's sometimes it's hard to go to the gym, and you know you got to go to the gym, and you get a routine, and then if you once you go to the gym for 2 weeks straight, then you're good, and you keep going. But then if you take a week off, it's hard to get back in the gym. I think it's similar to that. So if you're making a ton of calls, you're in a rhythm, and you keep going. That's great. But then once you have a few days where your call numbers might be lower, it's kind of harder to get back on to that train and stay motivated. I think it's just kind of peaks and valleys. It's really just about, staying motivated. I think that's what it is because, it's not, uncommon to have stretches of, no luck or success on the phones. And you could be calling through a market. It could be a month or two and you're not getting any traction. But I think that's normal in sales. So it's really just about staying motivated and keep pushing through because I think, of course, a lot, in sales, I think it's a lot of, experience and, well, what's the phrase? Luck is definitely involved in sales, but you create your own luck. So you have to put yourself in a position to be lucky. So if you're not making calls, then it's going to be harder to get lucky because you might call someone and they are absolutely ready to sell their airplane or
Yeah.
ready to, make a change. So
Yeah, it's like luck is when consistency and hard work pay off, or when timing and consistency meets. Like that's luck, kind of a
yeah,
thing. I'd agree with that. Well, Alex, I appreciate so much about what everything you've done over this past year. Your last deal, the 2008 Citation Mustang, just about almost a $2 million plane. All the planes that you've sold so far have been over between $1 and $2 million. One was over 2 million, right?
yes, it was. It was
Yeah,
all. It was the Mustang back in March.
yeah.
Yeah.
So you've sold almost $6 million worth of aircraft. Like that's like, dude, you've like that's awesome. Like you've handled over $6 million in total transactions. A 24-year-old, right?
Yeah, 25, 25. I was gonna correct you, but I
Okay,
take back.
gotcha,
I
gotcha.
recently turned 25.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right. So, great, man. Well, thank you so much for everything. I'll give you the last word. I guess the prompt I would give you is, what does it mean for you moving forward into the future to live your jet life to the fullest? What does that look like in the next year, in the next 5 years? How would you describe that?
Wow. Definitely continuing to learn, and pursue my goals and hopefully achieve them. And
Can you
then
share one or two of those goals with us?
yeah, well, I have one goal up there. I don't know if you can see it on there. Was even close to hitting it, but I wanted to close 10 deals this year. I'm probably going to get 5 or 6, but that's on me. I can work harder. I can always work harder. So that's one thing I definitely want to do for next year. Maybe I'll up that number to push even harder for it. But that's definitely one goal I want to achieve. So really, I just want to continue to provide value, to be a resource, build relationships, become more informed about the market, learn more about aircraft, and just be the best that I can be. So
That's awesome, man. Appreciate your time. Hope you have a great rest of the day.
thanks, Tom. Stay safe. I appreciate it.